Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing details. Today we're discussing what might be the coolest Franck Muller watch I've encountered in 9 years of doing this. This is a watch that lives up to the company's boast of being the master of complications. Whether that refers to Franck Muller himself or the company that bears his name doesn't matter, because this watch delivers on both counts. This is the Franck Muller Crazy Hours Tourbillon in platinum. It is 36 millimeters across, not including the crown. It is 50.2 millimeters from lug to lug, and it is 14.7 millimeters thick with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now in platinum, being fairly large and tonneau shaped, it wears considerably on the wrist. It's got a lot of real estate, and as you can see from over the top, it's pushing out right to the edge. Now there is a newer version of this watch that is far larger, so if you like the complication and you think you might have a watch that's borderline for the newer one, go with this classic model, which is more compact and easier to wear for me, and likely also for you. Although it's not particularly thin, being dramatically sloped in profile, it will fit underneath the dress cuff with absolutely no problem. One last look down the barrel. I could recommend this watch for wrists as small as 15 centimeters circumference, but no smaller. Again, I am 16 centimeters. The strap is super thin. As you can see, it's sort of honey brown, large rectangular scale alligator leather, monotone stitch. It's got a sheer cut side showing the layers of leather. You can see that we spec'd this with a Jean Rousseau strap. They are the OEM supplier to FP Journe, and we like that we can often complement a watch with a strap that fits its character. So we went with the Jean Rousseau here. Cav on the bottom, gator on the top, pull tab spring bars so you can remove the strap without tools. And then oddly, Franck Muller gives us a white gold buckle to pair with the platinum case. And it's interesting to compare them in juxtaposition. I often mention that white gold is a much warmer material, and right here you can really see the difference between platinum and white gold. It's an interesting case study and illustration. Now this is the famed Tonneau profile that Franck Muller rode to stardom in the 1990s, when even simple watches powered by ETA movements were unmistakably Franck if they had this shape. The good news here is that the watch lives up to the legend with a combination of Crazy Hours and Tourbillon, and you can see it's particularly seamless with a curved case back that makes for excellent ergonomics, frankly, a cambered crystal that is dramatically shaped and no doubt very expensive to produce, and then it's a monoblock case with everything loading through the back. You could see that the bezel and the case are seamless. It's all one piece. We have the Franck Muller logo on the crown, and we have something rarely seen on dress watch tourbillon regulator. We have dramatic luminescence. You can actually see that the 8 is cropped by the flying tourbillon and migrates around, effectively acting as the seconds hand for the watch. I keep talking about Crazy Hours. What is that? It's an original Franck Muller complication that debuted in 2003, and you could see the hours are indicated in the correct order, but they are non-sequential on the dial, which means 2 always jumps to 3, but in spectacular fashion, clear across the dial in each instance. It is a wonderfully animated, amusing, unnecessary, and delightful frivolity. This is why we love luxury watches. And you could see a lovely almost Art Nouveau font used for the numerals themselves. We also have a rosette guilloche dial with a wonderful billowing rose lathe pattern. There's a railroad track outboard for reading the minutes in detail. We have blued and loomed leaf-style hands. And we have a flying tourbillon. So a flying tourbillon is a tourbillon with no upper bridge. This was invented by Alfred Helwig and Glashütte in the 1920s, and it gives you a better view of the tourbillon regulator, which is outstanding when the tourbillon is on the dial side of your watch. Now this is a surprisingly high beat rate for a tourbillon at 4 hertz or 8 beats per second, and it is a 1-minute tourbillon, so again, acting as the seconds hand. You can see some of the finishing here is truly outstanding, as the tourbillon features micro bevels on the edges of all the components. You can also see that we have intricately cut interior angles where those interior bevels meet in a sharp cleft crease. That's very difficult to achieve, even on movement brass. It is the devil's own task to achieve sharp interior angles on steel, which is what we have here. You can see that the underlying mechanism of the tourbillon is also nicely decorated, and all screw heads are black polished with chamfered slots and circumference. Also a rarity on tourbillon watches, shock protection. Here you can see KIF being used. Turn it all over. This is the caliber FM 2001, so named because it debuted in 2001. It's been freehand engraved with those lovely Art Nouveau style numerals, so the crazy hours all over its surface. You can see we have another shaped sapphire, expensively cut, and the watch is 30 meters water resistant in spite of these shaped sapphires, which is difficult to do. We've got a manual wind power reserve of 60 hours, and it's a 21 joule movement that is adjusted to all positions according to the bridge. Well, that means either 5 or 6. Both are chronometer standard. You would see 5 or 6 position adjustment on a watch that would go in for a COSC trial. I'll do my best to show you here, but in addition to the satination across the bridges and then the engraving on the satin, we have a truly high quality mirrored bevel, which you can see to some extent. The caseback crystal distorts a little bit, but you can see the mirrored beveling that is executed by hand and beautifully by hand. Again, our screw heads are black polished with chamfering. This is an outstanding watch in every way. It's a Franck Muller that lives up to that boast of mastering complications, and it really is the only Franck Muller watch I've ever encountered that I sincerely wish to own myself. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this 60-hour, fully loomed, platinum, crazy hours flying tourbillon.